Tonight, Grizzlies at the Timberwolves, and you have the drafts rounds 2 and 3. And the draft last night sent a clear message where the NFL was headed because the first round was packed with players that either complement the passing game or trying to defend the passing game. And the first 4 picks built around players trying to stop the pass. Offensive side of the ball was a lot more active. I thought, as I told you yesterday, if somebody was moving up into the top 10, they were going to move up to take a wide receiver. 6 wide receivers drafted in the top 20. I thought you were going to have a run 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 with wide receivers. Then you had some trades. You had Hollywood Brown being traded by the Ravens to Arizona. The Titans sent A.J. Brown to Philadelphia. Those deals, the A.J. Brown deal, I'm like, wait, what just happened? And then I thought I'd heard Hollywood Brown, and I thought, okay, I know he wanted out of Baltimore and gets reunited with Kyler Murray. They were college teammates. A.J. Brown is 24 years of age. You look at the last 2 Super Bowls, Bucs, Chiefs, Rams, Bengals, these are great passing attacks. Teams across the NFL have to take notice of that. They certainly have in a league where the rules heavily favor those, with the passing attack here. You're going to emphasize that when it comes to the draft. We certainly saw that. And I know we're waiting for Baker Mayfield to be traded. By the way, I would trade for Baker Mayfield. If I'm a team that needs a quarterback right now, I would trade for him because at his price of $18 million, and maybe the Browns pick up half of that or all of it, he's on a 1-year deal. You bring him in for a 1-year deal, and then let's see him prove himself. If I'm Seattle, you got a couple of second-round picks. I would bring in Baker Mayfield and say, here you go. You got 1 year to prove yourself. And you know what? I know that we've criticized him. He's been criticized roundly, widely. But if you look at the situations that he's had, and I talked to somebody with the Browns last night, they said, look, it's unfortunate. But he played while he was hurt. But he's had coaches, offensive coordinators, different coaches, different offensive coordinators. He can still play at a pretty high level. And at $18 million, why wouldn't you go get your starting quarterback at $18 million? That feels like a bargain. I don't know if the Panthers, Falcons, Lions, Seahawks, but it feels like somebody's going to go after Baker Mayfield. The other part was there was talk yesterday prior to the draft. I didn't buy it, but, it was being reported that the Jets were maybe interested in Deebo Samuel. And I thought, why would you take Deebo Samuel? Why not take a wide receiver that you're going to have for 5 years? I got you on a rookie contract. And if you have done your homework, you're going to find a wide receiver who's going to be able to help you. Deebo Samuel's a wonderful player. Wonderful. I don't want to trade for him and then pay him. I got to pay him $100 million. I don't understand it at all. Like, I'd be like, no, there's so many wide receivers here. You got 2 out of Ohio State. You got 1 out of USC. I mean, these guys are all in Alabama. They're all impact players, in my opinion. I would take them instead of Deebo Samuel. Love Deebo Samuel. Think he's wonderful. Think he should stay in San Francisco. But if I'm one of these teams, absolutely not. I'm going to find my own Deebo Samuel. And it makes more financial sense. Lamar Jackson not happy that Hollywood Brown was traded to Arizona. Hollywood Brown reportedly asked to be traded. And they take an offensive lineman. They took a center out of Iowa, who, by the way, I think is going to be one of those guys that starts for 10 years. This guy's a former wrestler in high school. I mean, he only plays center. Tyler Linderbaum,
your
come
boy.
on down.
That's your boy.
I love the pick for Baltimore because if you look at what Lamar Jackson does, you need to have a great offensive line because he's running and passing. And I know that they weren't going to keep Hollywood Brown, and maybe they didn't tell Lamar Jackson they were going to trade him because his response on Twitter was WTF. And I went, uh-oh, that doesn't bode well for the center you just brought in or management. Maybe it was just like, WTF, I didn't know we were going to trade Hollywood Brown. Or he didn't tell me that he wanted to be traded. I wasn't quite sure of that. we love to put grades. Be like, who got the best grade? There are steals in the draft. Who reached? What you can do is grade strategy. The Jets had a great strategy. Giants, I think, had a good strategy. There's certain teams where, Steelers didn't do anything. They just sat there. They waited for Kenny Pickett. The Saints, I wasn't quite sure what their strategy was. Were they going up, going down? Are they going to take a quarterback? Oh, speaking of which, Paulie has 2 pies coming. He whiffed on the first 13 picks. Oh, did Paulie think that he had it? You were all set. Like, the Saints are coming up. Yes. Yeah, Paulie.
I got to tell you that, even though I'm getting pies, that was about as much fun as I've had the first 2 hours of a draft. Because when it started looking bad when all those wide receivers went off the board. And then I think the Saints trade up to 11. And I was like, oh, they're going to take someone. And I think even Mel Kiper said when he saw the trade, he goes, you usually don't move up that many spots unless you got a real alpha you're going after. And then it went bad and blah, blah, blah. But then the Lions jump up to number 12. The Giants really need a long-term quarterback. I'm sorry, the Lions. Yeah, the Lions. Yeah, the Lions, not the Giants.
Paulie was so excited.
It was fun.
Oh.
It was the way that all played out because the broadcast that I was watching, they were positive it was a quarterback going. They're like, you don't trade up unless you're going for a quarterback. Nobody trades up like this. And I was positive it was going to be a quarterback, and then
the Lions select Jamison Williams. And I went, yes! Yes!
It was delicious.
I'm yelling, and I'm going, okay, now I got to hope that at 19, the Saints don't take a quarter. I gave Paulie a chance to bet against himself, and if the Saints had taken Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett at 19, I was going to let him slide. No pies today. And so I'm thinking, all right, what are the Saints going to do? The Saints they're not going Kenny Pickett. They might go Malik Willis, and then all of a sudden they take an offensive tackle. And I went, yes, 2 pies on Friday for Paulie.
I got to tell you something. I'll admit this right now. So on the 19th pick, when the Saints are back on the clock, I was like, well, this makes sense. Steelers are looming. They want a quarterback. This would make sense. And that's what all the guys on TV were saying during that 9-minute thing. Remember the Larry Bird three-point contest?
Shooting? Yeah.
He hits a shot with number 1 over there. I had that GIF, whatever, ready to post if somehow they took Malik Willis. And then as soon as it didn't happen, I went, you're good.
It was great. It was, yes, Seton.
You got the Larry Bird walk-off ready.
I know. Oh, yeah, and Paulie's pretty good. Paulie's pretty good at this stuff. But all of a sudden, first 13 picks, and every analyst we had on, every mock draft, Paulie go, man, I'm feeling really bad about this now. Because as we got closer to the draft, you started to separate fact from fiction. And then you were realizing if anybody's taking a quarterback, it's probably going to be Pittsburgh. So Malik Willis falls out of the first round. Desmond Ridder doesn't get drafted. But Paulie gets 2 pies later on today. Yes, Eden.
When we got to, was it pick 6 with the Panthers? Like, all right, here we go. Now it's on. Because that felt like the first real shot at a quarterback. Yeah. I'm like, all right. I sat up in my chair a little bit. Let's go. Let's go.
Matt Rule, he recruited Kenny Pickett when he was at Temple. He's going to be reunited. Yeah, Paulie.
When the Lions were on the clock at 12, and I thought in my mind, I heard Mel Kiper say, well, they got to be moving up, I think, for a quarterback. I started making plans in my head because I'm insufferable already. If I would have won this bet, I was going to bring a huge blueberry pie and sit at my desk and eat it during the show and tell everyone else to eat it. Literally.
This program brought to you by Traeger. Make sure you check out the new models for 2022, the Timberline models. Traeger Provisions. They have new sauces like Show Me the Honey at Traeger.com/DP Show. And remember, use the promo code DP Show to get free shipping. By the way, Lamar Jackson clarified his tweet with the WTF. He said, it's not about my new center. Stop that BS. All right, well then what's it about? Is it you didn't know that Hollywood Brown was going to be traded or that he wanted out or nobody told you? All right. Tell me what your WTF. And by the way, I want to know what his contract situation is because we keep waiting for him to get his extension here. And he doesn't seem like he's in a hurry here. Just something to keep an eye on. By the way, the Patriots drafted Cole Strange at number 29. He's from Chattanooga. And he was ranked. We talked about this yesterday. I said, keep an eye on how ESPN ranks players, not mock drafts, how they rank them. And then history has been on the side of those rankings where you'll say, oh, did somebody reach? Or did somebody get a steal? ESPN ranked Cole Strange, an offensive lineman, 77th. He went 29. So that's 48 spots difference. That would be a reach. He really has to work out because I feel like you could have gotten Cole Strange at 69, 99, but man, he was 77th ranked prospect. He went 48 spots higher than he was projected to. That is by far and away the biggest jump. Let me see if there's Kenyon Green, offensive guard. He was ranked 26th. He went 11 spots higher. Stingley, we got late word yesterday when we had Daniel Jeremiah on, and I was hearing that maybe Stingley, that Houston, nobody knew what Houston was going to do because Houston has New England Patriot disciples in there, so they don't let you know what they're doing. And then you started to hear they might take Derek Stingley, and they took him number 3 overall. He was as good as anybody I'd seen as a freshman at that position. I mean, he wasn't afraid at all. And then the next 2 seasons, subpar. I know he was injured, but he went 5 spots higher than ESPN's rankings. But for the most part, the big surprise was maybe the Packers not taking a wide receiver. Took another, a couple of defensive players. But you know what? That's what their history is. If I look at this with the Packers, and you start to think about who they've drafted and when they've drafted them, these are outside the first round. These are skill position players they got outside round 1 during Aaron Rodgers' tenure there. A.J. Dillon, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones, Ty Montgomery, Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb, Jordy Nelson, Jermichael Finley, James Jones, Greg Jennings. That's a pretty good resume. The Packers know how to draft. Maybe they find that wide receiver or 2, but they bolstered their defense. I'm sure that Aaron was watching, wondering what they're going to do. They can't do this to me again. They got to get me a wide. No, they did not. They got me a defensive player. Well, we got one more first round. They got me another defensive player. But I hope you enjoy Sammy Watkins in free agency.